Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Hog Talk podcast, coming to you live from the Sterling Soap Roastery Studios, part of Believe in Buzz Radio Network, where you can hear us on 106.7 in Central Arkansas. All live shows are presented to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark. I'm Porter Hayes, and alongside me, as always, is Adam Hall. We're also brought to you by Bet Online, the number one source for every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack, poker, or even unwind with our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today and get in on the action. Use the promo code BLEAV for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts, and we are with you on episode 4 of the off season, presented to you by Vision Exteriors. 4301 Regions Park Drive, Suite 7 in Fort Smith, Arkansas, with also a location in McAlester, Oklahoma. If you're needing any kind of exterior work, window siding, Josh is the man to call. We appreciate them sponsoring this episode of the podcast. And we talk about off-season. SEC Media Days is next week. Cal's on the move. Have some USA basketball to talk about. And then at 7 o'clock, after the break, we'll bring on James Brackney from Black Dog Meat Company, the winner of the best burger in the River Valley. Really looking forward to talking with him after the break. But EA Sports 1 week away. I think it's going to be exciting. There's a lot of grown men. I think the funniest post I've seen was, it's 2024. You're playing your PS5 and all that, and you're 42 years old. Well, that's me. I'm 42. So look, I can't wait. I've already told the stepson that the Xbox is coming back upstairs with me. I'm getting the 150 version, and I'm going to play it for a full day.
Oh, yeah. I made one of those memes for one of our frequent watchers and sharers, Logan Evans. But, he's only, I think, around 30. So, didn't have the full effect of, being almost 40. Like, well, I'm 37. But we've all been waiting for it. I've been playing Madden like crazy lately just to get back into playing a football game. Because, not having a console in 7 years has kind of put me back behind the times a little bit.
Yeah, that's the thing. This generation, they have to wait a year maybe, and they complain about a year for the next season of The Bear or Yellowstone to come on. Wait 10 years. Give it 10 years, 11 years before your favorite football game comes back. Look, I was playing it on the 360 still until the thing finally went out. And I want to tell you, I come home one day, and the 360s with the external storage, come home, got ready to play my Haas mode, and the
external storage
was taken out of it. Somebody took it from me.
That one.
Yeah, and you're talking about somebody that's had 3 different Heisman campaigns, Dynasty, 20 years, 10 years on each, and I kind of had a little moment where I shut the door, locked myself upstairs for about 5-10 minutes, and nobody, because I knew somebody took it. Mm-hmm. But that was one of the moments. You see them guys that their girlfriends, as a joke, delete their 2K. That's how I felt. I was very, very pissed off.
Yeah, we used to get, I think, this is probably around 2010-ish, 2009-ish, maybe. I don't remember which one it was, but there was about 3-4 of us that we just did the seasons mode or whatever, but we did it online against each other. And I mean, we had the rules in place, like 1 game per week, couldn't advance your schedule. I mean, just playing it basically like you couldn't restart it. We had all these rules set up just so we could play seasons together. I think we had a rule that like you couldn't pick a top 25 team. You had to go with somebody else and build up. And, that was one that I'd go with, I think, Clemson or West Virginia at the time.
I got to pick on us when we went in the top 25. See, that's the thing.
Well, we had the rule, you couldn't pick Arkansas, and they were in that boat too. So one of the 4 of us would pick Arkansas. So Clemson, I went, I think the defensive ends at the time, was it Gaines?
Yeah.
That, and then their color combination of uniforms at the time. And then West Virginia was, of course, just the Steve Slayton or Pat White era.
Yes. Yeah, that was
that route. So
that was the year that they kicked the crap out of us in the Orange Bowl. Like, I was going to go. I was actually going to go to that game. I found a ticket to the game for like $20 on StubHub, a flight from XNA for like $100, but I'm glad I didn't, because that was the biggest embarrassment that I've ever had to watch. But yet it sparked the very next year. You see what they did to LSU, and then that turned into what they were 5 years ago. So I mean,
Mhm.
I claim they're still that, but
Yeah,
no,
bringing up
very
this
excited about the game coming
back
up.
to horror stories of the Red Ring of Death. I think we all
Yes,
went through that at least one point with the fried whatever. Actually, there's some documentary that recently came
yes,
out.
they
It's
were
like an
talking about
hour. Yeah, it's like all about Xbox, the Red Ring of Death. They even got Snoop Dogg for it, and I was like, no, this is
Well, it
crazy.
was a serious deal. Like if you've ever watched it, like they had to make a knee jerk reaction of what do we do with this? Do we try to fix it? They had everybody who had this situation send it in and they gave them a brand new
Hmm.
Xbox. And I think I don't know if it was $1 billion or over a billion, but it was in the billions of how much they lost replacing every console that they sold out because it was that big of a bug that I'm sure now with technology you can just look at the system updates and everything that you put on there, which I think now my biggest gripe about modern games is you buy a game then you have to download it and then you have to
Hmm.
wait an hour to download it, and to me I want to put the damn game in and I want to play it. Bring back the Nintendo. You might have to, nobody knows about the blowing on the cartridge or you flipped it. You remember how you had to flip it
Yes.
up and down, then that would get going. But now you have to wait an hour. And I'm just like, look, I don't understand that part of it.
Well, and that's like so Call of Duty. I think the one I got, it's Modern Warfare 3. The newest one hadn't came out yet. Like that one's 160 something gigs. So you get like not even half of it on the disc, and then have to download the rest. And it's just like,
That's
good gracious! I
insane.
mean,
My son
it's
was telling
crazy.
me about Grand Theft Auto was like that.
Hmm.
Like the new map that they're coming out with is going to be like you'd almost have to upgrade your console to the biggest version because it takes up that much space on your hard drive.
Hmm.
And I'm just like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't even seem fathomable to me. But
Well,
I
and
don't
then having a
know.
terabyte on the PS5, I mean, I'm keeping about 6 games on it, and then it's like you gotta pick and choose. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, I've gotta delete this one I'm not playing to get this one, and it's just like, it's crazy having to balance that, and I haven't gotten to the point where I'm gonna go buy another hard drive yet, but it's possibility it's gonna be in the future.
You might have to have a separate one for that favorite game because that's the thing. Also, like with my situation, at least you got backup. If something happens to the console, but who's going to be your team that you're going to rock with? Are you going to go Razorbacks? Or are you going to go with what team you going to rock with when you get the game?
I think ultimately, like, in the beginning, I'm gonna have to go with Arkansas just to get the ins and outs of everything. But then I think I'm going to go the route of building up a lower end team. I haven't decided if I'm going to go a route that's going to be a new FBS team that wasn't on the game previously. I know there's like 7 teams. Like I thought about going like James Madison route, or I think Kennesaw State was one of the new ones, but just going with one in Jacksonville State, just going with one of those random schools that aren't out there. And I think I saw today too that like you can create a burner account on this game to hype up your recruits and your team. So they're going full on Kevin Durant mode that you can create your own burner just to be able to hype up
That's
teams and
crazy.
players.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's. Hey, look, we are being blamed for the fans for people not coming. So, hey, how fitting is it to put it in the game? I'm going, of course, Clemson first. I got to redeem them and win a national championship for them. And what's crazy, one of the very first tweets I ever made was, "I'm going to get NCAA. I think it was either 13 or 14." Because that will be the only way I'll ever see Clemson win a national championship. I remember that come on my timeline. And so got to get them back in. But then my favorite back in the day was Idaho. I loved because
Hmm.
their stadium, but I would go for that small school. They were always FD plus or F minus or whatever. It was either between them or Army. I'd always pick the worst team in the game
Hmm.
and bring them up.
Well, an aspect of recruiting I saw too on this that's catching up with the times. Obviously, there's going to be the transfer portal, but when you're recruiting your high school players, if you don't keep in contact with them, just like it is now, they may decommit before they sign and come to your school
Yeah.
in the recruiting mode. So you've got to make sure that you're keeping them happy after they've committed until they get ready to come on campus.
So it seems like it could be a mixture of The Sims and a football game
Yeah.
because you're having to build relationships and then keep everybody happy, boosters, and so yeah, it's going to be fun aspect of the game. But yeah, I'd said I'd rock that, and of course, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are, you always see those memes too, where they're tired of Arkansas losing. They're just going to turn the AI up and go freshman mode and beat everybody at 140 to nothing. And you always have that one person playing. He's huffing and puffing real loud as he's winning 80 to nothing. So,
And we've got the video here from
yeah,
earlier today. It's just one of the little peeks into the rivalry mode. This was put out by QJ Beats on X, so courtesy of him and EA. Yes, it's a home game and Arkansas is wearing white, but we're nitpicking at that point.
yeah.
So, but here's just a little bit, a taste of what we're going to see
right now. Right now.
That's pretty cool. The aspect it's funny seeing that whiteout like that. It almost gives it that War Memorial vibe. If you didn't see the jumbotron and stuff, but that's what I'm used to. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's something crazy that you could be it, but I would love to have been one of the people that got to beta test this thing. I think that would have been crazy to be able to play it. And I know our guy Blake Ruffino, he's getting to go to New York and when it comes out and do stuff with the game, work along some. I can't remember who it was he was going to get to collab with, but yeah, they're getting to go to New York and talk about the game on the release, which comes out next Friday, I believe. So I don't know if there's an exact time. I don't know how that really actually works with the digital stuff, if it's midnight or how the pre-order stuff works on that. So
I'm sure it's one of those things maybe similar to, I think, how we see Netflix and a lot of the others that they wait till what seems to be like midnight Pacific time, so it just releases the same for everybody. But who knows at this point? I'm still just sticking to I'm going to go into GameStop and get what I pre-ordered and pick it up and go. I don't think I'm going to do the early downloads that are out there.
oh, so they already got early stuff that you can do right now.
Well, like I know that if you pre-order it online, I believe, and Logan, if you're watching, you might be able to tell me in the comments. You'll have it 3 days early. So
Oh
there's
man,
all the digital pre-orders. They're getting it
okay.
earlier than the actual release.
That's interesting. I didn't do the pre-order, so I guess I'll have to wait till. But so that would be what, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Somewhere like, so what's the date? 16th or
Yeah,
something, or is it the 19th?
it's the 19th. So on the 16th,
16th they'll get it.
so Logan, the 16th, he
Yeah.
gets the 16th. Man, that's so you're going to get 3 days of. By the time we all play it, it's going to be like old. Like, all right, I'm done playing it. I've already put it up. Move it to the next game.
Yeah.
Switching to subjects, Coach Cal, landing prospects, landing transfers, getting recruits. You always felt with Musselman, it was like he was not, I wouldn't say a one trick pony because he really went out there and got through the transfer portal. And I won't really, I guess, in a sense, we can talk about, Nick Smith Jr. and Jordan Walsh. I think they all come together as a package. I don't know if how much you could really put that recruiting on him opposed to Brewer or whoever are the guys. But his bread and butter was the portal.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're seeing a coach that is really, we're seeing him recruit. We're seeing him go out to these places. And again, difference between him and Musselman, the camera's on him. He's not finding the camera. So that's going to be huge. And he's getting guys that are even surprising some of our local media. Some of our insiders are like, hey, this is a surprise get, especially when he said he wanted to keep it at 8 or 9, So he's already building a program. And I think we're going to see something that we haven't seen in a very long time of now we're going to expect 4 stars and 5 stars. And I know there's a lot of emphasis on this homegrown talent, and this is going to come to fruition of, look, yeah, you might be in state, and that's a you want your in-state kids, but they're still going to have to be good enough to play for your university.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, that's the way I see it.
Well, and what we're seeing in basketball, especially, 3 of Arkansas's homegrown top talent in upcoming classes, they left the state of Arkansas this offseason. You had 3 of them that went to Sunrise Christian. I believe that's in Kansas. You had one go to Oak Hill in Virginia. You had one go out to Arizona. And so these are 3 kids who are not going to be playing in the state of Arkansas, and that's how it is anymore because of these kids that have aspirations of getting to the NBA. They're having to go play ones versus ones, and sticking in the state when they're playing down on the talent, it doesn't do them any justice for their future. So they're having to leave to go elsewhere. And yeah, it sucks. I won't say it sucks. It's weird to see because we haven't seen really this before. But these kids, they want to go one versus ones. They don't want to sit there and play with guys that aren't going to go play in college, that aren't going to have that opportunity because they're not getting any better doing so. So, we saw Cal last night at the Team USA versus Canada game. And then today he was in Phoenix. He was watching Aiden Chronister, who was originally from Rogers, and now he went to the Sunrise Christian. But, this is what he's doing. We're seeing Cal at all these circuit games, travel games, where we didn't really see that for Musselman. We never saw him there at this high school. I mean, Cal's out to get, 5 stars, the top guys in whatever class they're in. He's not relying on just, Musselman, the importer. He's not relying. He knows he needs to go get 3 or 4 of the top high school recruits, and then he'll fill in behind it.
Yeah, and let's call a spade a spade. We remember the year that he had all that talent, still only went 8-10 in the SEC. Granted, yes, made an Elite 8 run, but like we had talked about towards the end of his tenure at Arkansas, it seemed like his teams and his classes were clicking later and later and later, and you could just see the frustration mounting, and he didn't know how to handle the pressure. He didn't know how to handle losing, and we all said, I've said many times, you've got to accept the very good, but you also got to accept the very bad if you're willing to do so. And that ultimately just, I don't know if it just got too much for him or what, but now you're seeing somebody on the other end of the spectrum, other end of the polar opposite of how he carries himself. And it's almost like, I know what I'm doing. Let's see how this rides out at Arkansas. And, and then you go back to that fake account that they were made because they were talking about the people on Team USA from Kentucky. And, we could talk about Team USA and their going up against this world competition. And, you brought up a good point before we started rolling with, look, there's a lot of people more so now than ever that the world competition and people who play for these countries, it's no joke, and it's not just a shoe in for everybody talks about because they brought this team together and they're just going to run through it like the dream team. One, you're not the dream team. There will never be another dream team. I don't care what anybody says. That team played together. You had people at their peak, post peak, playing together, and I think they beat everybody by like 30 or 40. I don't even think there was a close game in that Olympics. But yeah, you had the top, and it's funny to see that, well, this 3 would beat this 3. No, they would not. I think it was, who was it? Steph, LeBron, and KD would beat Magic, Bird, and Jordan. Everybody, I don't know why, but he is a Hall of Famer. He's great, but I think he gets just crapped on. That's Bird. People do not really understand what he did and how he did it, and then would tell you where he was going and would still do it, and was an elite 3-point shooter. This dude, and he did it on a bad back. Just think of this. We're talking about all the healthy people. When we talk about Grant Hill, he always comes out. What person would be this if he would have never got hurt? I would go with Bird. as great as he was, if he was fully healthy his whole tenure, I don't know what he could have become.
It's a good way to look at it. And I think even though, like, obviously my favorite era growing up, I was born in '87, growing up in the '90s. Obviously the Jordan era was what I
Mhm.
came into, but I think that one of the biggest what ifs for me is later on is Derrick Rose on
Yeah.
what could have been. But going back, this team is not the dream team. This team would not beat the dream team. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. But I think the bigger thing is the world competition, like we said, is tenfolds ahead of where it was back in 1992.
Yeah.
That's why we're seeing top five obviously the number one the past 2 seasons being from France, but then you've got your top five draft picks where two, three, four of them are international players, and the world has caught up to a certain extent. Yes, in my opinion, America is still the best when it comes to basketball.
Yeah.
Nothing's probably going to change that. My hope is, this team. I think it's going to take some games, which is why you have these games before the Olympics start. But they're going to find their groove. Um, I didn't. I mean, last night was a little bit of a shock to me, but at the same time, when they finally got up, they held their lead.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those. They're just going to have to find a rhythm. They're going to have to find. It's definitely not a NBA All Star game when there's no defense and they're just throwing up lobs and half court shots and whatever. But they'll find their groove. And hell, for all we know, we're looking at Steph and LeBron, solidifying them somehow coming together in the NBA season, because I think that's the only thing that would get LeBron another championship is teaming up with somebody like Steph.
Yeah. And, you know, here's the deal. And that's the thing. Everybody knocked on Kevin Durant for going to the Warriors on top of the team. So you got Steph going to join LeBron and AD. I think, look, there's nothing LeBron can do in my eyes that would make him better than Jordan. I don't care if it is another championship. He doesn't have the factors that Jordan did when it come to mentality, breaking people down. The chip on his shoulder, if you got on him that next game, he was coming at you. He would make up lies in his head on people. And that's been proven. He would make lies up to make it where he hated that person. He would drop 40 on them. And there's just so much off the court. Everybody wants to talk about accolades and this and that. There was just so much mentally that Jordan was beyond everybody that ever played. When he stepped on the court, you respected him and you knew he was the best. I know maybe for a couple of years, there's been times where, okay, LeBron's been the best in the league, but it's hard to say that when you let Dallas beat you, you let the Spurs beat you in 14. I don't care. And every time you say that, there's excuses. Well, if you're playing, you are the best team. That's what Jordan was. Everybody's talking about, look who LeBron beat. Well, they were the best team because they had Jordan on it. LeBron had to go to other teams to be the best. And to me, that just disqualifies as him ever. I got him at 2, but he'll never be that because of the Dallas, in my opinion, scoring 8 points in a finals game. Never happened with Jordan.
Well, I think mentality wise, the
Yeah.
closest to Jordan is hands down Kobe Bryant
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to work mentality, like you were saying, like the creating things in your head to give you that competitive advantage. But, Jordan's my one. I honestly, at this point, still put Kobe at 2
Yeah.
because a lot of LeBron's accolades stem from being able to play for 22 seasons or
Yeah.
going into his 20, and kudos to him. But I would hope you do that when it's been reported and he, verified. You spend $2 million a year on your body. I would hope that you could play for that long.
Well, that and the load management. I mean, how
Mhm.
many times has he played all 82 games? I mean, yeah, there's a lot of, and what is in that $2 million that you're putting into your body? It's just there's things now that you can do peptides and TRT and stuff like that. That's not steroids, but yet it's enhancing things. But I would do it if I could do it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we would all do it if we had the money to do it. And there's just too many other factors that go into the whole GOAT debate. And when a lot of the GOAT stuff gets thrown around too much, but when it comes to that, there's nothing nobody can ever do to change my mind about it. And those who will sit there and die on that hill. I mean, dude hadn't won a championship since the bubble.
I look at it. I mean, it's hard to really compare generations when you've got completely different types of athletes and completely different types of ball that's played these days. So it's going to be one of those. It's never going to go away until LeBron hangs it up.
Yeah.
And the only reason it'll go away, like you'll still have your people that are going to, as you said, die on it. But it's not going to be talked about as much when he's not in the limelight.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. After the break, we'll bring on James Brackney from Black Dog Meat Company to talk about his restaurant, Best Burger in the River Valley, and his own personal podcast that he has. Talk about that. We'll catch you after the break.
Attention DIYers and home improvement enthusiasts. Are you searching for the right tools and supplies to tackle your next project? Look no further than Mentor's Hardware Store. With locations in Ozark, Alma, and Clarksville, our vast selection of hardware and building materials is sure to have everything you need. Whether you're fixing a leaky faucet or building a new deck, most of our knowledgeable staff is always on hand to offer expert advice and guidance. And with our competitive prices and convenient online ordering, Mentor's Hardware Store is your one-stop shop for all your DIY needs. Visit us today and let's build something amazing together. Are you in need of legal representation? Look no further than the law offices of Robertson, Beasley, Shipley, and Robinson. As the oldest law firm in the River Valley, we have been serving our clients for over 100 years, with locations in Ozark, Fort Smith, and Spring. Our experienced team of attorneys provide expert guidance and advocacy in a wide range of legal areas, including personal injury, family law, criminal defense, and more. Trust in our history and experience to the results you deserve. Contact the law offices of Robertson, Beasley, Shipley, and Robinson today at 479-782-8813. That's 479-782-8813. Are you looking for a place to grab a cold drink and some delicious food? Look no further than Arkansas Brewing Company. Located at 201 South 1st Street in beautiful downtown Ozark, our establishment offers a wide selection of craft beers and tasty eats. But what sets us apart is our welcoming atmosphere and friendly staff. At Arkansas Brewing Company, you'll always feel like part of the family. So visit Destiny and Christopher Brockett and staff today and see for yourself what makes us the go-to spot for locals and visitors alike. Arkansas Brewing Company, come for the drinks and stay for the friends. Searching for premium brewery products that will take your daily routine to the next level? Look no further than Sterling Soap Company. Our handmade soaps, aftershaves, and balms are made with only the finest ingredients that give you the ultimate grooming experience. With a variety of scents to choose from, there's something for everyone. Plus, our products are crafted in small batches to ensure the highest level of quality. So why wait? Visit www.sterlingsoap.com or visit our retail store at 16 West Walnut Street in Paris, Arkansas. Shop our collection and discover the difference for yourself. Upgrade your grooming routine with Sterling Soap Company.
And welcome back to Hog Talk Podcast, and we bring on James Brackney of Black Dog Meat Company via the Metters Lumber Hotline. James, I know we've been talking about this ever since we stopped into your store, but man, when it come down to your restaurant, and when we have a family of 6 come in, and every burger we tried was top notch. I mean, I couldn't say anything better about the service, the food, and everything that y'all did. So I appreciate you coming on, and y'all there's going to be some tough competition trying to top that.
Man, glad you guys are having me on. This is pretty cool. Yeah, the contest kind of caught us off guard. We were just kind of looking through it one night, and we were entered into a contest, and we didn't think we had a chance, and then all of a sudden we're kind of like, oh man, we're in the top 2. Like, we could do this thing. And then we went out to everybody that we know in our social media. We're like, hey, you need to help us in vote. And it was kind of overwhelming. It was really cool seeing it all play out. So
yeah, I told before we started rolling, me and Adam were talking during the show, and we just see comment after comment after comment. And like when we stopped in, I don't know, it's one of the things where you go to a spot and they're known for this and that. You rarely do you go to a spot that every one of the burgers in the lineup is just as good as the other. I mean, that's where I think your place separates itself from everyone else, because you got like a top 5 where you could go in between this and that. And there's others that you have that I ain't tried yet that I'm sure that are just as good as the one that I had.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We it's hard when people come in for the first time and they're like, what do you want us to, what do you want to try? And we're kind of like, oh, I don't know. We'll just start naming them from the top to the bottom. And then, we don't really have a favorite, of a go-to that we make sure everybody tries the first time they get in there. We kind of ask them what they like and then go from there. But yeah, man, we're pretty proud of it that everything's a little bit different in its own way. And we got really creative. We take things that we see that other people are doing and we spin it and do it in our own way. And it seemed to work out really well for us. What
did you start? I mean, okay, you have the Black Dog Meat Market and then the restaurant. So how did everything come about?
Well, I've always loved to cook, and we built this outdoor kitchen at our house, and all of our labs are black, and we got one little chocolate little girl running around. But anyway, when we're having cookouts, sometimes we'd have 20, 30, 40 people there. The dogs were always a part of it, playing fetch, and so we ended up naming that the Black Dog Tavern. And I built a little smokehouse on it, and we ended up making jerky out of that. So that had to be Black Dog Jerky. Then we started looking for a place to sell the jerky, and once we found that, it was like, we can't just not cook while we're back here. We wanted to have a little restaurant, and so we weren't even going to do burgers to begin with. We had a big display case up front, and we had it stacked full of meat. And then the ribeyes kind of took over, and so we were just pumping through so many ribeyes, and then one day we kind of got a little bit wild and said, hey, let's throw on a burger, and that just kind of went crazy after that. And then the French fries took off, and we're really kind of thinking about dropping off the whole meat company part of it, just because we're just selling so many ribeyes, and that's really all we handle is ribeyes and ground beef anymore. And, we're going through tons and tons of burgers, throughout every week. So, but yeah, no, it come from it was just an idea, and then kind of one thing led to another, and we just kind of keep evolving with it. So.
Did you have to get your name cleared by PETA? I mean, did you get any backlash? It being Black Dog Meat Company, you could kind of get the idea, So
when we first opened up, it was unreal how many people would hit us up on Facebook, just be like, "I'm never eating there. I can't believe you have dog meat up in there." We have a sign over our door that my wife made that said, "Obviously not dog meat," and people get a kick out of that. We have people that come in still to this day and go, "Do you guys sell dog treats?" Or and it's getting to a point now when people make a joke, we're kind of like, "Ha, we never heard that one before," So yeah, it was pretty. At first, we were kind of like, "Did we name this the wrong thing?" Because there was so many that come in that we were kind of like, people were so dumb. But
so I noticed that mainly you went brunch or lunch, and now I think I've seen where you're open up on Saturday nights. So just talk about one where your hours, location, people that aren't familiar where you're at, kind of fill them in on how to find you if they haven't already since the show and since we talked the first time.
Yeah, we're in downtown Boonville, Arkansas. We're open Monday through Friday, 11 to 2. If we don't have anything going on a Friday night or anything like that, we'll post to Facebook that we're going to open up for like a steak night or something like that. And then so they built this really cool stage and really cool park right outside of our drive-through window, and they have these big concerts. They got 7 or 8 of them a year, and then we make sure we're open on those nights on Saturdays. And those tend to be really good nights for us. So,
and I'm sure with
Monday through Friday
Bearcat football is coming up, so I'm sure y'all get busy on those nights as well. As Boonville's very well known, as you see who I am behind me. We all have rivalry, so there's a lot of stuff that goes on in Boonville on Friday night.
Yeah, man. We actually we used to open up for the games. We would open up till the game time, and then we would live stream the game at the store, and then we'd open up a little bit after it. And then this past year, we started doing a tailgate inside the stadium, and we give some money back to the school for that, and it works out really good for us. But we get to be at the games. We got our nephew Jace Washington, he's the quarterback. We can't not be at the games, watch him.
Oh yeah.
You know. So we it's been a good deal that we get to do the tailgate, and I hope we get to continue that this year. But yep, football's coming up, and everybody's getting excited.
So we see the Black Dog dialogue behind us or behind you. So what is that? How did it come about?
Man, we used to do breakfast. I kind of got tired of doing breakfast because a couple of my buddies would come in and we'd drink coffee in the mornings, and then we'd have a customer come in and I'd be like, man, I got to go back to work. And then so it finally got to a point where I was like, I don't want to do breakfast anymore. I just want to sit up here and have coffee with my friends. And we just get on these deep dives and these rants, and I got into listening to all kinds of podcasts, and I was like, man, we need to start a podcast. And so everybody was on board with it. And so Kyle, my preacher, Chris, one of my best friends, he's an insurance salesman, and then my wife. So there's 4 of us on it, and we just kind of tackle a topic and have a lot of fun doing it. So then we built the studio because we were doing it in the restaurant, and it was way too loud and noisy in there. So we built this neat little studio to do it in. So
how long you been going on with that? How long has that been?
I'm going to say right up on a year. And we I'll put out 22, 23 episodes so far. So I think we're doing pretty good. We have to do all our own editing and when we can all get together, and sometimes that's not that easy. Like right now, summer vacation, so my wife's sleeping in, a little bit longer than she should, and then, Kyle's always taking care of his kids, and his wife got a new job, and so Chris is actually moving off. He's moving to Kentucky, and so everybody's just getting really busy, and then kids sports, we're constantly dropping kids off, picking kids up. So
I let you slide the first time because I told you when I come in, I noticed some memorabilia, some artifacts you have in your restaurant. But I'm going to bring it up tonight since we are talking Hog Talk Arkansas stuff. Adam, he's a Bama fan. I've seen some Bama stuff. He even's got a dog named Bama.
That's
correct?
Right. That's my Bama. That's my Bama girl. Yep.
So talk about talk about your fandom. Where is that where you're from? Just talk about how you a Bama.
I really would say I'm more of a Nick Saban fan. At heart. Ever since he come along, I've just been a huge fan. And honestly, this might sting a little bit, but I got really tired of Arkansas fans. Just it seemed like they would lose a game, and then everybody was headhunting, and it got old really fast. It's kind of like, good grief, give the guy a break. And they're firing people, and then this guy needs to be quarterback, and it's just kind of like I got a little bit tired of it. Kind of fell in love with Alabama and Nick Saban. I got a little that get me, but yeah, no, I'm not from there. I catch a lot of heat for it, but we go to a lot of Razorback games, and kids all love going up there. They go watch a lot of baseball games and stuff like that. We still pull for the Hogs in every way, unless they're playing Alabama, and then it's just me rooting against my son. So, yeah.
At least you're on the good side of it. Yeah,
it's pretty heated. Well, in football, it's worked out really well for me for sure.
So what are you going to do now? Like you said, you're a Saban fan. So I mean, what's next for you now that he's kind of stepped away and now he's going to be more on the broadcasting side? Are you still going to secretly root for Bama, or does that kind of give you a segue to?
Man, I'll stay with Bama. I'm excited for him. I think it's going to be a really cool year. You guys were talking on one of the last podcasts about who's on the hot seat, I guess, for the coaching thing, and everybody's talking about Sam Pittman, but I'm kind of like, I don't know, man. That's got to be a lot of pressure, taking over Nick Saban's program, and that I feel like the pressure's on him. I think it's going to be he loses 4 times. It's going to be.
He lets Auburn beat him year 1. That's going to be the telltale.
Once and done. Yep.
You got to beat Auburn. I think that's going to be the biggest thing is if you have a down year and you let Auburn just like thrash you, that could be an issue. But
be an issue. Yeah.
I think even as fanatic as Bama fans are, I think nobody can really fill the shoes ever of Saban. No. I mean, you can try to carry on the legacy of Bama. You can carry on that dynasty per se, but you look at who Saban even had to follow, Bear Bryant, and then it's hard to replace that. So I think they're smart enough to know to give that guy at least a year. Now, if you have a couple years where it's down, you're going through the Shula days, kind of how that was. Yeah, you would see a
I agree
change.
with that. Yeah.
I don't think that this year, again, now if you go 3-9 or whatever, 4-8, you lose to Auburn, there's going to be a bunch of chatter because you're still bringing in the talent. But
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
think you're safe for a year on that one.
I think so too, and I think the coach is going to do a great job. I'm not too worried about Alabama in the program right now, but we will see. It's hard. You were talking about Nick Saban, and you guys were talking earlier before I come on about the greatest of all time in basketball and stuff. It's so hard to be considered that now. There's so many good coaches, and for Nick Saban to have done as good as he did for as long as he did. I mean that. I think he gets that GOAT status, and he's going to hang on to it. But
yeah, and that's one of the things that you can't argue with it, because you're going through different coaching changes and you're going through different players leaving, and you've been able to sustain all that no matter how many coaches you've went through and still be the top. So I mean, again, it's kind of hard to, you kind of bring up the point of, Belichick or Brady. You see
Right.
Belichick and what he did, but then as soon as Brady went to the Bucks and he left, now you've seen the drop off. So does that tarnish Belichick's legacy because now you take that factor away from him and you're not winning? But with Saban, everything he replaced, still winning. But we started seeing the NIL. We seen what the transfer portal did, and my biggest knock against him was, going and complaining about
mhm.
players getting paid and all this when you're making more than any other coach. Yes, you're winning, but you're making all that money off of these kids that are playing for free. And so that was my biggest criticism for him, and Dabo too. Dabo was the same way when it comes to not wanting players to get paid. And you see what's happening with that situation of you're not adjusting with the times. And I think with Saban, he was just too old to deal with all the drama that come with it. He stepped out, and now he's still making $500,000 a year just to talk about football.
Yeah, I mean, Chris said it one time on one of our podcasts that was like, the hardest thing about being a coach now is you're not just recruiting players, you're having to recruit the players that you already have. And I think that is such a game changer. And, I don't really blame the guy for getting mad about it and, wanting to step out. But I mean, he was getting kind of old too, and he's been, I couldn't imagine what coaches go through. I mean, season's not even over yet, and they're already out. Like, they don't even get a weekend off. They're already out recruiting. I mean, that's got to wear on you. And for to do it for so long and be so good at something, I mean, it'd be tough to watch the game change right in front of you and then think, I've got to start all this all over, a new design, new scheme, and it may be tough, man. It'd be hard to be a coach.
Well, I think too, like one of the biggest things I heard, out of when the announcement came, him retiring and all this, it was actually a conversation that he had with his wife. And it was like they had players and recruits or whatever over at their house for whether it be Sunday or Saturday lunches, something on the weekend. Like, I think families were involved, and there was becoming less and less of them. And his wife was just like, why are we still doing this? Because they basically, it's like, they don't need them anymore. Or that's how they felt, at least.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to need a coach like Saban. But they just realized that the game has changed. Money has changed things. And so it was time for them to hang it up.
Yeah,
I'm
and she
not-
got
I'm
a
not-
lot of crap for that too. There was a lot of heat. I even criticized that because it's come off rich. Like, hey, look, well, they don't need us no more. We're going to leave. But another thing about it, that you look at the years that, say, like Sark was his OC and they make it to the college football playoffs. He took a job Texas during the playoffs. So you're trying to coach for a national championship and you're already 1 foot out the door. That's another big challenge when it comes to staying at the top. And you've seen 2 of them. He ended up losing, in the final. But yeah, it's a tough world, and everybody has the right, but it's showing more of the power and the balances, even when it comes to coaches and players, that they have just as much say so as the coaches do. The coaches that are old school are not like that. They're not liking it. They're not used to it, so they're either trying to adapt or they get out.
Well, it's got to be tough, when you get a freshman quarterback in, you know what I mean? Like it's really tough because you think, well, I've got 3 years of good quarterbacks, coming down the road. I've got a freshman that's coming up, and if he doesn't see playing time, he's out. And that's got to be another big hurdle to cross as a coach, of just trying to keep younger players in that, and it'd be hard to be a player too, knowing that you could, sit there and, am I going to sit on the bench for a whole year watching this guy, or I could go to Texas and I could have a starting spot. You know what I mean? It'd be really tough to want to sit at a program for another year when you're trying to, everybody's trying to go to the next level. So
you could play 4 games and still transfer. So that's the thing. Like, you could feel like, hey, I've got my guy coming up. He's played 4 games for me. He started 4 games, and then all of a sudden bench, and then you see later on that they transferred. So yeah, it's going to be the expansion of the playoff is going to be, I think it's going to be great for college football. You're going to see less of the opt-outs. You're going to see more games that are meaningful because there's going to be more teams that are going to be eligible for the playoff. And then when the playoffs get there, you're going to see a lot of good matchups. I think it's going to be, especially with the conference realignment, how the SEC keeps adding teams, Big Ten, ACC, they're either going to follow suit with the Pac-12 and be obsolete, or they're going to gain. So college football has not even started to really chip or hit at what they could be, as in what we're going to see realignment wise by, I would say 2026, 2028, we could see another seismic shift in the landscape of college football.
Do you like it? Do you like the 12-team playoff?
Yes, I love it because, one, it's going to give you a lot more college football games. It's going to really make a lot more games mean more, but you see how tough the SEC is. You see how tough some of these conferences are. You're going to see a lot more teams that in a 4-team playoff, they wouldn't make it. Now they get a chance to redeem themselves. You're going to see more of these matchups in August, September, that those like the Michigan, Alabama games. You're going to see them because they can risk playing those games early in the year and still make a 12-team playoff, opposed to you won't get those that much because they're worried about they go 0-1 and then you start off conference season 1-2. You're not getting into the playoffs. So there's a lot more pros than cons that I see from this 12-team playoff.
Do you think they did it right this year?
I mean, you could say, do I think Alabama?
I'm happy with it.
Yeah. I think a lot of it was I seen you couldn't put a team that really needed a true miracle to – they were dead in the water, and then that play against Auburn. I know it's the Iron Bowl, but to me, it's like they gave it to Bama because it was Bama. But, right. I mean, everything plays itself out. But this year, you're going to – of course, you're going to be like the 13th and 14th teams should have got in it. There's always going to be a gripe. But I also me and Adam talked about, look, if you don't think the NCAA is not going to get their money now that players are getting paid, we're going to just look at the NFL. They're going to 18 games or 18 weeks. College football is going to do the same thing because they're going to be like, hey, look, you're wanting more money. We're going to make you play more. So that's where I see that balance of that out. But, James, I appreciate you coming on, man. Again, before we hop off, tell everybody where you're located at in Booneville, where they can find you, your Facebook page, all your specials, and then, again, your hours of operation.
You bet. We're downtown Booneville, Arkansas, open Monday through Friday, 11 to 2. Check us out on Facebook. We'll open up in an evening. We usually post it a little earlier in the week so everybody can make it down there. These big concerts and stuff that are going on down here, we're always open for those too. And I did want to tell you, man, I really appreciate, the whole burger contest. Man, we got a lot of business in from it, and it went back to you guys too, because people were wanting to know, who put it on, and, we're telling everybody about you. And I really appreciate the little boost of business, and it was fun having you down. Sorry, Adam, you didn't get to make it.
I didn't even say, yeah,
things happen.
I'd posted on my personal about that, and he was the first to comment about must be nice. And look, it made me feel so horrible,
like I had it drawn up in my head. I was like, how petty am I going to take this? But I was like, no, I'm good.
And I want you to know, if we lose to Central Arkansas, we're still friends, all right? Like,
It's going to take a hell of a burger. I'll tell you that right now. Look, I'm just going to be dead honest. This is no plug. I said at the beginning that OWARC was my favorite all-time burger, just the nostalgia and the quality. I couldn't fairly judge them in the contest. I didn't put them in the contest because I couldn't be unbiased on that, but you're up there with them. I mean, no, you can ask my wife, my kids, everything that if I'm willing to put you on that category, that's how good of a burger that y'all have there. And I love the nice touch of the dog on the bun. So everybody head down to the Black Dog Meat Company. We'll go ahead and just say Black Dog. That way we don't get.
That's where everybody eats, man. We're eating today. We're just going with Black Dog. So,
but we appreciate you having it on, and hey, we'll definitely be in touch. I'll be in touch soon, and I'll bring Adam down there with me this time.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot.
Have a good evening. That was James Brackney of Black Dog Meat Company. Yeah, Adam, we'll definitely have to go down there. I'll take you down there and let you enjoy. I know how me and you've talked, and you are very serious about you could be honestly a professional food critic. What conversations we've had and just how you judge your food. I'm impressed by it. And I've wanted to be a food critic, but I can't. My wife laughs at me because I love all food. So I would think everything's the greatest in the world, but to be fair, yeah, when we talked about this burger, King of the Hill style burger, we're going to be going to Central Arkansas in August. So we'll start that judging August 1st. We'll let everything settle down. We'll roll with that Central Arkansas. So look, start thinking about it now. Where's your favorite spots in Central Arkansas? The winner will take the top 2 to 5, really give their fans an opportunity to tell us what their favorite burger is. Then we will go up against Black Dog. If Central Arkansas's best burger overtakes Black Dog, they will be the new King of the Hill. And then until we are at the end of it. And then whoever holds on will be awarded I have called it kind of the OWARC General Store best burger in the state. So that's what we're probably shooting for the end of football season when we get through all of them. So Central Arkansas, you're on the clock. Everybody listening in Central Arkansas, especially on our listeners over on 106.7 in Central Arkansas, start thinking about the best spots, and we'll see where we're at come August. Adam, we'll take a road trip and we'll go down there.
Yeah, I mean, we got to, a lot of the mom and pop places, a lot of the older places, they may not use social media. So by all means, like pump them up, let us know where they are, because we may not know, especially being, over here where we are on this side of the state. So, it doesn't have to be somebody with a strong social media presence.
Exactly.
Let us know who it is. Let us know what that hole in the wall is.
Mm-hmm. Because those have the best burgers. I mean, the best, like the barbecue, was that place down in South Arkansas that all they done was have the sandwiches in the paper sack. You find those hole in ones. That's why like the OWARC place is so nostalgic for me, because it's a general store, been the oldest general store still running west of the Mississippi. So, and plus having land and a cabin out there north of Ozark at Cass. I mean, that's where we would always go. I mean, we would go there if we wanted a treat. So that's why. It will always hold a special place in my heart. But I'm very anxious to see where y'all want us to go in Central Arkansas, and the parameters. I would say, what would you consider? Let's draw a circle around the state. I would say Morrilton, Heber Springs. Then you got. I mean, I would say even. Would you consider Hot Springs Central Arkansas, or would you cut it off closer to Little Rock?
I personally, if I think Central Arkansas, I think Hot Springs.
Okay.
That's maybe just me, but I put them in that bubble.
And then maybe I would go I mean, all the way up Searcy, Bald Knob. I don't know how that's the thing where you would kind of cut it off. Maybe Searcy over to Lone Oak, all the way down to Hot Springs, then all the way over to Morrilton. So yeah, start getting your votes in. Get your votes, and we'll go live August 1st on that. We'll run it for 2 weeks. And the second week of August, right before school starts, we will have a vote on the best burger in Central Arkansas. Adam, you got anything else before we wrap it up?
No, it's starting to get hot again.
Yes.
We had a couple of days of rain, some cooler weather. So time to tough out the probably toughest part of the summer.
Well, all right. Hey, thank you, everybody who listened. Thank you again, James, for coming on. That will do it for this episode, the off-season, episode 4 of Hog Talk Podcast, presented to you by Arkansas Brewing Company, Vision Exteriors, Believe, Buzz, and Sterling Soap. We'll catch you on Monday.